Hello, it's Gary here from Rise of the Gay Cinephiles. Throughout our video nasty season, a trigger warning will be in place for sexual assault, animal cruelty, graphic violence, racism and other forms of bigotry as we discuss these films from a very different time. It may not apply to all of them, but it's best to keep the trigger warning here just in case. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Rise of the Gay Cinephiles, a show where we, two gay cinephiles, watch way too many films, discuss various themes and eras of cinema, and for this season, we're discussing all 72 films from the Video Nasty DPP List in alphabetical order. But before we get to that, we're back.
Yes, we are back from our hiatus, and we have a new season discussing the Video Nasties.
We do, which is very much a continuation of what we started with Horror Cult Trash Over.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we said on social media, we've been toying around with a new format. We feel like some things needed to change, and that change is we want to be more specific about what we're talking about. But we are keeping things from Rise of the Gay Cinephiles, things from Horror Cult Trash Over. And one of those things, before we go more into the Video Nasties, is what's new with Chris and Gary.
Yes, what is new with Chris and Gary? There's a lot, actually, since
been a
our
while.
last episodes.
Yeah.
There's some highs and some lows, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I am going to reel some names off. Because the last thing we discussed on Gay Cinephiles was Enigma, La Casina. So after that we watched Abigail's Party, Con Air, The Rock. We went for a bit of a 90s action phase.
Yeah. I like the 90s action campery on a nice Saturday night.
Yeah.
The ITV2 subgenre.
Exactly.
There's got to be a list on Letterboxd.
There has
for
to
ITV2.
be. If not, you should create it.
I
should.
The films that give ITV2 energy. Hearing British people will be like, yes, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, a big screen release that is bringing back the 90s action vibes is Thunderbolts.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was a great film in the MCU.
Yeah.
Is it struggling at the box office?
No, I don't believe so.
No, I hope not.
No. I mean, now they're throwing around that new title, which I won't repeat here, just in case you haven't seen it. I feel like they've made some money, but yeah, it's as perfect as an MCU film can be.
It's definitely a highlight. The MCU, very much like the Video Nasties, as you'll know through the next few weeks, has highs and lows.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of real... I mean, it's following up from Captain America...
Brave New World,
which, in my opinion, is the worst MCU film I've watched.
We were brave new gays going to see it.
Yeah. So to have it followed up with such a terrific film as Thunderbolts, I was very, very pleased.
We watched Just Another Girl in the IRT. We watched The Big Lebowski. We watched Drop, the new Christopher Landon film, which was so much fun.
Drop was fantastic. Christopher Landon is such a wonderful filmmaker. I hope and I think Drop may or may not have made money.
I'm not
it
sure.
was quite heavily marketed.
Yeah.
I really hope to see more from Christopher Landon, especially with these bigger releases sort of films. Yeah, I think he's a great voice in horror, thriller cinema at the moment. Really enjoyed Drop.
Yeah, we watched Boogie Nights. Well, I watched Boogie Nights for the first time, which I loved. We also watched Repo Man for the first time. We watched Bubba Hotep for the first time, which I loved. The Ugly Stepsister. Cool. We watched Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah, what a fantastic film that was. I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it did exactly what it needed to do. It was thoroughly entertaining. I enjoyed the characters, loved the death scenes. The opening was iconic. maybe the best in the franchise.
I think the film as a whole is the best in the franchise. It does absolutely everything you could want a Final Destination film to do.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be, anything new and astonishingly out there. It just needs to do what it needs to do, and it did it.
Yeah. We watched 1 Hour Photo, which was really layered and fantastic and creepy and we watched Short Night of Glass Dolls, which I really, really enjoyed. We watched The Surfer, The Wedding Banquet, Warfare. But I'd say out of older films, my favourite one we watched was actually The Grand Budapest Hotel, which is funny because my least favourite one that we watched recently is A Darjeeling Limited. So how does that work? What is going on, Wes Anderson?
Yeah, two sides of the same coin, unfortunately, I feel. Really enjoyed... I may have used that out of context, that phrase. But yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel, phenomenal. Yeah. Amazing. Wes Anderson's best film, in my opinion. And he's had some real great films, but I loved it. I think it perfectly... personified what's so great about his filmmaking. And the Darjeeling Limited, fucking hell.
It's the worst of his filmmaking.
Oh, annoyed the shit out of me. But then so did The Life Aquatic.
Yeah.
I thought the characters were annoying. I didn't get the humour. A lot of the humour was, in my opinion, very immature. And I just didn't have a fun time. It was an hour and a half, but it felt like 2.5 hours. Really, I found it dragged. There was a really jarring moment as well that was like, ooh, what are you trying to do with this? And it just annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's definitely a double bill of Wes Anderson creating boring, unfunny, uninteresting men. As part of these new episodes and going forward, we'll be giving you what's new with Chris and Gary, but also a new release spotlight, a film that we deserve. Do you know what? We deserve this.
We did.
In comparison
the world deserved this.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison to watching Darjeeling Limited, we definitely deserve this. A film that we think deserves a bigger spotlight and a little lengthier conversation, but not a massive one. And this month, because again it's been so long, it's got to be my film of the year. It's Sinners.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler.
Totally agree.
Ryan Coogler, director who can't make the same film twice.
No.
Even his 2 Black Panther films, completely different to each other. I've not seen Creed, but I assume it's not like Black Panther and Sinners.
It actually makes me want to see Creed.
Yeah.
And sports films aren't necessarily my thing. But it actually really makes me want to watch Creed because he's a fantastic director. I love Michael B. Jordan. He's a fantastic actor. Did I say actor twice? You
may have done, but you can definitely say that twice because he is twice the actor in Sinners.
Yes.
This is like a throwback to 70s grindhouse cinema, 80s vampire films, and noughties action horror. All in one film. That is clearly an allegory for white people stealing black culture. And dealing with that through a vampire film is genius, and I'm surprised it hasn't been done before now. But Ryan Coogler does it on an expert level here, with everyone in the film providing such amazing performances. Miles Caton, who is Sammy. I guess Michael B. Jordan's the lead, but he's high up on the supporting cast. A lot of this film is about him.
I think his
first ever role.
Yeah.
His first ever role, and he is fantastic.
And I think that was him singing as well.
Yeah, it was.
Some great musical...
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
...moments in the film as well. I really, really, really loved Sinners. It's something I say all the time, but horror lends itself to social commentary so well. And this is a social commentary. It is a film with layers, but it's also a horror film where I cared about the characters and I didn't want them to die. Which is fundamentally what, horror should be about, in my opinion. The horror, the fear, comes from me caring for these characters. If I didn't care about them, then it's not done its job. Despite still being entertaining.
Even though we're about to talk about what I want to die.
70 plus films over the next few weeks, where a lot of them have characters I don't give two shits about. But I still enjoyed the films for other reasons.
Great lineup of those today. But yeah, I mean, there's one sequence that brings music and film together in such
phenomenal.
Honestly, I don't like using this word a lot 'cause it's a bit dramatic, but breathtaking way. I was blown away. I was sat there and I said, I could not believe what I was seeing. And I've seen it 3 times now, and each time I get goosebumps during that scene. It really, this film is something else. It is something special, and if you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for?
I think a lot of people have seen it though, because
it's breaking records.
We almost said, because it's not quite true, we want to shine a spotlight on a film that we think more people should watch. People are watching this.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's a milestone in horror cinema.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky that in this lifetime we had The Substance last year and then Sinners this year. Both of those films are milestones within horror cinema, and I really, 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 really hope Sinners gets the attention it deserves during awards season next year.
It's about telling stories and allowing people to tell stories that haven't been told before from a new perspective in horror.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing over and over again. It's why I enjoyed Thunderbolt so much, because we're at the point now where, in my opinion, I feel like the MCU is rather repetitive. It feels interchangeable with other superhero films, other comic book films, other films in general. And to see something that feels fresh, says something different from a different perspective, gives me characters I've never seen on screen before. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, wonderful. And quite sexy as well, actually.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Well,
wasn't afraid to be sexy. Wasn't afraid to show sex.
But this is the thing. But not only that, much like Baby Girl, which was released earlier this year, I found there was just a real specific focus on female pleasure. And it's nice to see that becoming a thing now in modern cinema and mainstream releases. Moving on from our new release spotlight, we've got a bit of shelf love, and there have been some great releases in the past month or so. We haven't managed to get all of them, but I mean, backtracking a little bit, I do have the fantastic Arrow releases of Coffin Joe and Critters now. Thank you to my co-host.
Yes, Gary did celebrate a birthday this week.
I did. And just like that, I'm 33.
Oh. Telling the world your age.
Yeah.
Good on
A
you.
young 33. But yes, those are older releases that I'm very grateful to have in the collection, because I was convinced they'd be out of print by now. But as far as new releases go...
let's not get into what that says about the economy.
Well, no, and let's also not get into too many older releases, because we'd be here a while.
Yeah.
But no, this isn't a collection bragging section. This is a section to celebrate fantastic physical media, and the highlight for me of the past month of something we were able to get thanks to AIM Publicity and Second Sight Films is Second Sight's release of The House of the Devil, a film probably would have been a video nasty.
Yeah,
because of the name.
Yeah, definitely, and and I'm sure if it was released. Because it is set in the 70s.
It's set in the 80s. It looks like the 70s.
I was like, is it the 70s or the 80s? But it's set probably around the same time that a lot of the video nasties were set.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives that energy.
It does.
To a certain degree. I think it definitely would have been.
We get a young Greta Gerwig.
We do.
Who gets a great scene.
I realised this week totally off topic.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but a fun little fact for everyone listening. Greta Gerwig has directed 4 films.
Yeah.
3 of them have been nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
But she's never been nominated for Best Director.
Yeah.
So
I ain't got time for that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Before those days, though, she was in The House of the Devil, directed by the X Trilogy's Ty West, who does exactly here what he does in the X Trilogy, and he takes those influences of his, and clearly from this film, Black Christmas, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and does something fun and exciting with it. I watched this when it was first released, and loved it back then, loved it even more on a rewatch, and especially with this new release, where it's just, it looks stunning, but still has that grit to it. And I think it's so important with a film like The House of the Devil. You have to have that grit there to fully capture the time period you're set in. And Ty West does that perfectly, and this second site transfer really nails that down, and it's in a beautiful set with a booklet and art cards, in a collector's edition, and yeah, it's just a really fucking great film.
I watched it for the first time and really enjoyed it. It was not an ITV2 classic, it was a Horror Channel classic.
It was a Horror Channel
classic. I always
classic.
saw it advertised on the Horror Channel, and I didn't, unfortunately, get round to watching it. So I watched it for the first time on this Blu-ray release, and it looked phenomenal. And yeah, I loved it. Really enjoyed it. Loved the energy. Loved the acting. It was a little bonkers when it needed to be as well, which I love.
Yeah.
And really gave like a video nasty feeling, actually. Yeah, when we mention it.
And I think that's the perfect segue to talk about evil Tories banning us from watching films.
Oh, yes.
Chris, what are the video nasties for anyone who doesn't know?
I think we'll give a little overview. So the video nasties were essentially a term to describe films that were banned and prosecuted by our lovely conservative government under Margaret Thatcher in the early 80s. The UK has had a long history of censorship. Yeah. Particularly towards horror films. So many have had cuts, have had bans, have long stories of minimal cuts, big cuts, you can't do this, you can do that, all of that business. But there was a very specific time period where you could be prosecuted and sent to jail for selling certain films on videotape. Yeah. Or even owning them would get you into trouble, fines, and all of that stuff. So yeah, there was how many? 70? I keep forgetting the number. We're talking over the next...
We're talking very specifically about the DPP list.
The DDP...
DDP.
DDP? Diamond Dallas Page. DPP list.
The DPP list.
The DPP list. So that's 70 odd.
72 films.
72 films that we'll be discussing. But the list is slightly longer, but these are the ones that were on that list. Some of about half of them prosecuted, the others not. But yeah, it was very much, and we'll discuss this in quite great length, I feel, over the next few weeks of the season. But it was very much a Tory government telling people what they can and can't do. It was very elitist. A lot of the films we'll be discussing are low budget horror films. Some of them deserve to be, in my opinion, deserve to be banned because they were so bad. And some of them are all-time greats and classics and cult classics. So a real varied, but low budget ones. It's famously, they said, in the hands of the everyday person, these films could be quite dangerous.
Yes. They also, one of my favourite stories, if you listen to our Horror Cult Trash other episodes, which, by the way, speaking of, feel free to go back and listen to those. We did go through a bunch of these films, scene for scene, with special guests on a lot of them. And yeah, go check them out. We'll be talking more briefly about them here, but talking about all the important stuff. One of my favourite things I always brought up on those episodes, which I will never stop bringing up when we're talking about the video nasties, is the fact that they even said that it affected some dogs.
Yes.
These films upset some dogs.
Yes.
You know, some of the things they said was absolutely ridiculous, and it's all so hypocritical because they've supposedly watched these films to tell us that we're not allowed to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Grown adults.
Yeah.
You know? It's...
Do as I say, not what I do.
Exactly. And it's classic Tory behaviour. But, you know, you got to give it to them. You haven't got to give a lot to them, but you got to give it to them. A lot of these films would not be discussed now if it wasn't for the video nasties. We would not be sitting here doing a whole podcast season on them if they weren't banned.
Yeah, it's the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
The more you go on about it, the more you're bringing attention to it.
Absolutely.
And the kind of audience that enjoys these films, like us, would find that being on a video nasty list a seal of approval. I won't go into Mary Whitehouse, but everyone has Google. Google her. YouTube her. Good old Mary Whitehouse, the old conservative Women's Institute kind of lady.
Yeah.
She was at the forefront of this and banning all of it, and she was very much ridiculed in you know the sort of leftist media and such. But yeah, I think she definitely managed to bring a lot of these films
she was
to the right audience.
She was a promoter,
which is us.
There are still a lot of films banned now, though. Are you aware that Slumber Party Massacre 2 was only passed uncut last year for the first time and was banned until then in the UK?
I think what we get though, and what we're having is that they remain banned, they remain cut because nobody can be bothered to put, because it costs money. It costs money to put them into submit them. Should I say? Excuse me. To submit them to the BBFC, it costs money. So there's a lot of companies who are like, well, number one, I need to get the rights, and then I need to pay because we obviously want to have it uncut and such, and then it gets a little complicated. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how I think it is.
I mean, Gestapo's Last Orgy, which we will be talking about further down the line when we get to G, unfortunately.
Yes.
Was actually submitted to the BBFC in 2021 by 88 Films and refused classification.
Ooh.
So it is still banned to this very day. Please don't report us for watching it. Oh
shit, yeah.
Recent years, The Human Centipede 2, The Bunny Game, Hate Crime, My Daughter's a Cocksucker, Lost in the Hood, Grotesque. New films that were Texas Vibrator Massacre. New films released and banned.
Oh, wow.
To the present. I mean, Human Centipede 2, I believe, that has a release now. But something like The Bunny Game, no, still... and a lot of it is because of sexual violence.
Yeah. But then the internet is like the Wild West.
It's true. I mean, those films may be banned, but you're still going to be able to get them online.
I can scroll... I don't have it anymore, but back in the day, I'd scroll Twitter... And, you know, unfortunately, every so often, these violent videos could pop up because they've gone viral. Mm-hmm. These horrible videos and such. And sometimes people put full films on there. I could probably type those films in and find somewhere to watch them.
Yeah.
It's strange that they still do that. Fun fact, head of the BBFC now... is Natasha Kaplinsky, who won the very first season of Strictly Come Dancing.
There we go.
That's the UK version of, what's it called in America?
Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars, yeah.
Well, when we speak about modern video nasties and such, we have a little section about that a little later on. For now, shall we get into the vault?
Yes.
Shall we start discussing the video nasties?
We're doing this in alphabetical order, aren't we?
We are.
So, film number 1 is technically not alphabetical.
No, because we are discussing its sequel.
Because it's loose
on the same
sequel.
episode.
But it's film number 1. The film we've been calling Anthropophagous.
What did you just call me?
And then recently found out it's pronounced Anthropophagous.
Yes, but it'll always be Anthropophagous for you.
Anthropophagous. From 1980.
One by one, he tracks them down. One by one, they disappear. One by one, they come face to face with the ultimate terror. And now, he's coming for you. The Grim Reaper.
AKA, this might be my favourite section of each episode. AKA the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
AKA the Grim Ripper, which I think was on the bootleg edition. The Savage Island.
Yeah.
Anthropophagous the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
The Beast, how dare you? The Zombie's Rage,
Yeah.
and Man-Eater.
Make you work hard. Make you sweat hard. There's definitely something they're doing in this film.
It's something that I think the majority of the video nasties have in common, potentially. They all were released numerous times under different titles.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I believe, in a way to bypass these restrictions.
Absolutely.
Others because they didn't do particularly well with the first title, so they tried again with a more over the top title.
But this is the thing that a lot of these films are banned because of the fucking titles. Certainly not because of the films. So calling something Man-Eater or The Zombie's Rage isn't really going to help your case.
No. I always knew. So Anthropophagous, I always knew as the Grim Reaper. That was always the DVD back in the day that you would find in CEX or whatnot. My favourite of those titles is, and it's a little boring because it's actual title, but it's Anthropophagous.
Mine is Man-Eater.
Oh, nice.
That's so camp. And it's true. It's what the film's about.
Yeah, that is true. But Anthropophagous is Greek for human eater. So that still counts. It's an Italian film.
Yes, written and directed by Joe D'Amato.
Yeah.
The legendary director of Killing Birds.
Oh, one of my least favourite films of all time. He's very hit and miss.
He is, but we have rewatched these films recently, and I give them both higher ratings.
That is true.
So I don't know. Killing Birds is a write-off. I'm never watching that again.
No.
That is a half-star film. It is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
I have no interest in giving that another chance. It was boring. But I mean, Absurd. We fucking hated it. But you're about to hear us say some nice things about it today. This is co-written by George Eastman and starring George Eastman as the Man-Eater himself.
Yes. So just going back slightly, Gary, does that mean we're rewatching Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals?
Is it on the list?
No, but it's a Joe D'Amato film.
Maybe one day. If we get that Emmanuel box set from Severin Films.
Yeah, I still really want that.
You know, we've spoke about some of your films before, Severin, so if you need anyone to talk about some Emmanuel films and potentially say horrible things about them, send it our way. George Eastman co-writes this, starring Teaser Farrow.
It's Tizer.
Saverio Valhone, Serena Grandi, and Margaret Mazzan. Do you know what? The easiest name to say on it. Margaret Mazzantini. And it's about a group of friends and a hitchhiker as they become stranded on a tourist island where they are stalked by a disfigured cannibalistic killer who is prowling the island after killing its residents. What is it also about, Chris?
It's about some rather dull people who decide to go island hopping in Greece, despite the weather being overcast the whole time. They end up stranded on one island where they're attacked by a cannibalistic killer. Teaser Farrow must fight off 3 men, and the cannibal is the most interesting one.
Yeah, she probably should have just got with him. She'd have been in a better position.
So, Teaser Farrow... Mia Farrow's sister, from the Farrow acting family. It seems like she gave acting a go.
She gives the best performance in this film.
And then stopped. She kind of quit. She's also in, spoiler alert, way down the line when we discuss Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Yeah.
She's also in Zombie Flesh Eaters. But that's about it. She does other stuff. She had a very small part in Manhattan. But I don't think these Italian cannibal films, zombie films, really ignited her need to act.
No.
Because
look at who she's against, though. I mean, those dull male characters. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And they're all accompanied, of course, even Teaser Farrow, for some reason, by an horrendous dub.
Yeah, she's dubbed.
An amazingly horrendous dub.
I love
that
it.
Just makes it all the more entertaining. Zora Kurova is great as Carol. I loved her performance. She's so melodramatic. She's trying to warn everyone what's going on, whilst her boyfriend's just trying to cheat on her with Teaser Farrow.
Yeah.
I mean, she's great. She's very much that, Evil Dead type character, trying to warn everyone what's going on. Sam Raimi probably did watch this, let's be honest.
She's a bit bitchy as well. So
yeah.
You get it's usually a blonde woman in these films. Who's the bitchy blonde that's jealous of Teaser Farrow. Teaser Farrow, a nice girl.
Yes.
So it's not slasher, but there's still those horror tropes always there in these sort of films.
I love George Eastman in this role.
Yeah.
The makeup is half-assed. They literally looks like they've just splattered a pizza on his face and just left it to drip. That's all it looks like. He puts so little effort in to the makeup. But the performance, though, I think is great. And I think there's so much build-up throughout to make him look so creepy. And I think it really works. When he's in that room at nighttime with the lightning. I really like the cinematography in this film. As with all of these video nasties, cracking soundtrack. But it does make me laugh that he's got such great build-up. He has some really extreme scenes. And then he's just pushed off the roof and makes a silly noise as he tumbles down. Like, whoa! He makes a comeback, spoiler alert, but his dignity's gone by that point. You might as well just stay dead. It's if anyone's seen it, it's like Lily falling off the roof and Tracy Beaker.
Oh, goodness.
But that's what it is. But it's,
that is a niche reference.
It's silly, and it's all silly. All these Italian horror films are so silly. So gory, so atmospheric, though. And I just love it. I live for that aesthetic. I live for the melodrama. The drama between the uninteresting characters. The killer's stupid fucking backstory. The death scenes. Oh my god. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I loved it when I first watched it as well, this one.
It's one of those films that I would love to watch it on an old VHS.
Yeah.
On a smaller TV, I think it's so cheap and almost comical at times with its effects.
Yeah.
Particularly the gore. The gore is almost funny.
Yeah.
Really.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. So stupid at times that you can't help but be entertained. I love the aesthetic. I love the soundtrack. I love as well. Almost gothic, electronic. The setting's almost gothic as well. I love the fact that they're on holiday, but the sky is so dull.
Yes.
No, there is not an ounce of sunlight.
The opening scene does involve a couple sunbathing on the beach. with no sun.
Yeah, no sun.
This guy is trying his best.
Oh my god, but in jeans as
in
well.
jeans, on a beach, acting like he's got sun in his eyes.
And
when
she's
no
in the
sun.
sea, and you can just tell she's freezing her ass off, this poor actress. Absolutely ridiculous. The poor pregnant woman gets it the worst out of everyone.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
But no, I mean with her seasickness.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
no, of course.
And also the killer, the beast himself.
Yes,
I feel like looks. Now it may have been a direct reference, but looks very much like Nosferatu.
I was about to say that exact thing.
In the newest Nosferatu film.
He looks like Bill Skarsgård in Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
Yeah. Which lends itself to some fantastic posters as well.
Oh, definitely.
One thing these films, the Video Nasties, always had as well is some fantastic posters.
Yeah, some of the posters are better than the films themselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I love the taglines as well for these films. I mean, it's not fear that tears you apart, it's him. Great. I mean, there's one poster, the one I use, looks like a prolapsed anus. With, I think that's Teaser Farrow screaming in the middle of it.
Goatsy,
yeah.
I do think.
But there are other better posters, but that's just very amusing. But yeah, I mean, the gore, it's just ridiculous. It's cheesy, but also I don't think the practical effects look that bad. I think it's makeup, yeah, sure, but everything else, I think it's pretty good.
It's hokey, but I mean, it just adds to the charm of it.
Yeah, I mean,
at least they gave it a good go.
I go looking for hokey with these.
Yeah, is hokey the word? Yeah, hokey's the word. Yeah. But it just adds to the charm. It really does. I love these kind of horror films, which is good because we're going to discuss a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about some standout scenes?
Yeah. So
of gore.
Because
it's the most famous part of the film.
Yeah,
really.
so some bits that we'll be talking about of each film, it was successfully prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
Has an IMDb rating of 5.3 out of 10, a Letterboxd rating of 2.8 out of 5. My rating is 8 out of 10.
Ooh, my rating is 7 out of 10. So 3.5 on Letterboxd with a love heart.
Yeah, I think that 5.3 on IMDb is very harsh. Did this deserve to be on the list? And why do we think it's on the list? Now, this is where we should probably talk about the deaths. Because, let's make something clear right now. We don't agree with all the censorship and all that video nasty Tory bullshit. So, did anything deserve to be on there? Probably not.
No.
But, for the sake of these episodes, yeah, probably this deserved to be on there.
Yeah.
I mean, the spoiler alert, quickly skip past this if you haven't seen it, but this is on there because there is a scene in which the man-eater himself literally rips an unborn baby from a woman's vagina and eats it.
Yes. It's gross, very gross.
There are some other extreme deaths,
but it looks
in this
extremely fake. It's clearly an animal carcass of some sort.
Yes.
But just the idea of it is obviously very highly offensive.
It is. But it's so offensive and so out there and so ridiculous to the point that I don't know how anyone could take it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so stupid.
What you'll find, and this is the first film we're discussing, so...
Probably suffer a lot of this.
Yeah, but what you'll find is with the video nasties, it tends to be extreme gore or sexual violence that gets it on the list.
Uh-huh.
So this doesn't have sexual violence. What it does is have extreme gore. So that's probably why. Because there's also a scene where he eats his own intestines.
There is.
So it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I can't believe Teaser Farrow was in there. What do you think Teaser Farrow, from a, pretty A-list acting family
Uh-huh.
stood there watching someone eat their own intestines. What do you think she was thinking? What have I got myself into?
The payday's worth it.
Yeah.
I'd hope everyone involved had fun. Especially the amount of fake blood and everything they have to play with here.
I think you'll also find a lot of these films are sponsored by cocaine.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the standout is the baby scene. It is, because there's nothing else like that. It's, I mean, maybe in some edgelord film these days, perhaps, but back then, that was your moment. That's the one that everyone's talking about.
But do you think this was the early 80s version of edgelords?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, Anthropophagous.
What did you just call me?
What a film. What a film. It is available on the 88 Films Italian collection. I highly recommend grabbing it and watching it and just having a great time.
If anything of what we've said is of interest to you, i.e. baby eating and intestine eating
And melodrama.
Boring
people arguing.
Yeah, then it's right up your street.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend getting the Blu-ray.
And if it is up your street, then there's a very good chance that Absurd from 1981 is also going to be up your street. You are right up my street.
So yes, Absurd. Technically, the first alphabetically, but also known as Anthropophagous 2.
Yes, aka Monster Hunter, aka The Grim Reaper 2, aka Zombie 6 Monster Hunter.
That one's ridiculous.
AKA horrible.
Yes.
Well, yes, I mean, it's about people being murdered.
AKA Psychose Infernal.
Yes.
Which is French for hellish psychosis, which I love. I love that. Hellish psychosis.
I mean, that's my favourite title.
And then also known as Rosso Sangue. I think that's its Italian,
that's
original
red
Italian name.
Something.
Oh, I didn't write that down.
Yeah,
red something. My favourite is Absurd. I love the title Absurd.
Repeat the psychosis one again. Hellish psychosis. That's
hellish
my favourite
psychosis.
One.
Yeah,
and it's Rosso Sangue.
Sangue. Sangue.
Yes. So,
yeah,
I'm happy to tell you.
It means
that means blood red.
Oh, okay. Oh.
If only there wasn't a film called Deep Red a few years earlier.
See, Profondo Rosso is an infinitely better title. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Absurd. I love a film being called Absurd.
It is a good title.
Yeah, but Hellish Psychosis is also amazing.
It is directed by our man Joe D'Amato, and again written by our other man George Eastman, starring George Eastman. He loves putting himself in these roles. Also starring Annie Bell, Charles Baromel, and Edmund Purdom.
Dickhead. Why did I not think of that?
Thank you, Edmund, for making it an easy joke for us.
Fuck's sake.
It's about a priest doctor chasing a man with supernatural regenerative abilities who has recently escaped from a medical lab as he reaches a small town where the mutant goes on a killing spree.
Yes. Also, again, it's about a crazed, emotionless killer with regenerative abilities enters town during an annual event, murdering seemingly at random whilst being followed by a very serious older gentleman who's determined to put an end to his evil killing spree. His potential victims include 2 children and their babysitter. It's John Carpenter's No, it's not, sorry.
Wow.
It's The Super Bowl film. Absurd.
Yes, it's the successfully prosecuted Absurd, which was originally released in both a cut and uncut version with identical sleeve design by Medusa Home Video in 1981. The original tape is much sought after and is an expensive collectible. Amongst fans. In its uncut state, it was placed on the DPP's list of the Nasties. But was released theatrically with 2 minutes and 23 seconds cut that same year. So strange to me. If you're going to go to all this effort to ban a film, just fucking ban it.
Yeah.
Just, what are you doing? Why are you releasing it theatrically as well? Plus, everyone's going to be lost if they haven't seen Anthropophagous. You know, it's...
You can say it differently every time.
If they haven't seen The Grim Reaper, how are they going to know what's going on in Grim Reaper 2?
That's true.
Good. Here's a hint. They're not gonna, because it's not even fucking connected. It's a different character. He does have his guts hanging out. He looks a bit more like Peter Barlow from Coronation Street in this one, which is funny because he's discovered by Simon Barlow with his guts hanging out.
The kid in this film looks very much like a young Simon Barlow,
and sounds like a not so young Simon Barlow.
Yeah. Oh well. Famous line is, "I want to see the game." And as is with a lot of these Italian films, the dubbing of the children is very clearly by an adult woman.
My favourite thing in every Italian film ever. It's fucking hilarious. It'll never not... It's one of those things where it'll never not be funny.
No.
It's so funny throughout. It's just clearly not this kid's voice. I could just picture the woman sitting in the studio recording this. Like, I'd love to see a documentary on it. Of course, House by the Cemetery has the best one, but this is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the dialogue as a whole, though, I mean, it's fantastic. Like, the detective in the film, whilst talking about the killer, says to a nurse, "You've seen him. What does he look like?" And the nurse says, "Well, he was huge. Not my type at all." This man who's got his guts fucking hanging out and going around murdering people is being judged on whether or not he's her type. Did she swipe on him? Who knows? Clearly not. Fuck me.
He might be dead, but it's okay because I didn't find him attractive anyway.
It features a group of Americans gathering around and eating spaghetti. I'm not generalizing. I'm telling you the truth. Eating spaghetti whilst watching the Super Bowl. No, this isn't an 80 for Brady spin-off. 80 for Crazy.
It's absurd.
I'm here all day. But yes,
That's horrible.
The Italians are desperate to make this look American.
It's essentially, and I don't know if our jokes earlier made it clear or not, it's a rip-off of Halloween and Halloween 2.
It is.
That's what it is. It's an Italian
not
version,
even subtle.
Not subtle at all. We've got all of the same sort of plot points and touchstones of the first two Halloween films. Apart from this one, it's based at the Super Bowl. I don't know why.
That famous American holiday, the Super Bowl.
I don't know why they didn't make it like Christmas, like just do a Christmas one.
But they could have done one better and just called it Super Bowl.
They could. Yeah.
They didn't even say Super Bowl in the film. It's the game.
The game. I don't know. I don't think it would have sold if it was called Super Bowl, Gary.
Super Bowl Massacre.
Super Bowl.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
I would watch Super Bowl Massacre. Although everyone would probably think it would be at the game itself, and not like in some Italian house passing off as American.
Super Disembowel.
It is the fact that they are making stereotypes of... Thank you, that was a good one. It's the fact that they're making stereotypes of themselves by gathering around and literally eating spaghetti.
Well, I mean, but that's what Italians eat. Pasta.
Yeah, but they're Americans. As far as we know, they're Americans.
Well, yeah, I suppose
they're passing off as
They could
Americans.
have done hot dogs or... No, I mean, I would probably... If I was in any way interested in the Super Bowl, I would probably eat a bit pasta whilst watching it.
1981. Who was the halftime? Who was the halftime?
I'm so sorry to tell you, it wasn't like that back then.
No,
it wasn't. It was like just a group, not like an actual artist. It was, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, it wasn't like a world famous recording artist. It was just, I don't know how to describe it, like a band, a marching band sort of thing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow, that's very disappointing. No wonder people are going around getting murdered. There's nothing else to do. Yeah, the only connection between these films is that George Eastman plays a killer with his guts hanging out. He's Michael Myers here, but a zombie version. And the half-assed makeup in the previous film doesn't make a comeback. Instead, it's just himself.
Yeah. It doesn't explain why he can regenerate. It doesn't give any reason really why he's killing.
No.
Which is because the first Halloween film didn't really. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I think you'd want to compare it directly, obviously, to the first Grim Reaper film, and I think it's probably just as good.
I prefer the first one ever so slightly more.
Yeah.
But this has Charles Barumel playing a wisecracking sergeant, and Edmund Padom as the priest. Dr. Loomis, the priest.
Yeah.
And Annie Ball, she plays the best nurse around. Everyone's got lovely things to say about her, haven't they?
She's very popular. But also very busy. She's just like a full shift in the hospital, and then she's babysitting afterwards. I don't know if I've missed it. It's easy to miss things in some of these films because some bits in between the interesting bits are rather dull. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why she was babysitting. But she was because the girl was. I mean, she was stuck in bed, wasn't she?
Yes.
So maybe she was there to look after her specifically, but still babysitting.
Yeah, the girl who's stuck in bed, who's been in some sort of accident and is paralysed, but can suddenly get out of bed when it's necessary.
When she needs to, yeah, when she pushes herself.
But let's talk about what we're here for. And yes, I do go into a lot of these for the melodrama, and it is top class here, but the horror elements are really fucking good here. This one has on IMDb a 5.3 out of 10 and a 2.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So the exact same ratings as the first film.
Yeah, I think that's justified. I think, in my opinion, I don't think the ratings necessarily, like on IMDb, I'd put it up slightly higher. But I think it being the same as the first film. I keep saying first film. There's like no real connection between them. But Anthropophagous, I think it having the same rating, it makes sense to me. Because I also gave it 3.5 on Letterboxd and a love heart.
Yeah, I gave this a 7 out of 10. Did this deserve to be on the list? Why do we think it's on the list? Okay. I think it's far too fun to be included on a Video Nasties list. But if we're going by their standards, a film called Absurd with the amount of violence in this, yeah, I'm sure that's why it's there. But this film, we get a fucking drill to the head, we get some other tool to the head, we get a compass to the eyes, we get a decapitation. It's fucking great.
Yeah, my favourite would probably be the face being slowly baked in the oven.
That is a very good
to
one.
me that was quite gruesome.
For me, it's the other tool. What is that tool? That's not kind of work.
Yeah, I want to call it an electric saw. I think you call it a jigsaw.
A worktop. Maybe.
I think you actually call it a jigsaw.
I mean that is my favourite one.
Yeah, that was rather gruesome.
I believe recreated in Freaky, if I remember right. Yeah.
Yeah?
In a lot more dramatic fashion, I think. But it's
the same kind of saw. Yeah. That was yeah.
The practical effects are really fucking great here. I don't even think they look hokey. I feel like it really, really holds up. And it's easy to see all these people getting a bit upset about a bit of gore when it looks as good as this. The Compass to the Eyes, that is very much leads to a Halloween 2 blood, tears scene.
Oh, yes,
and it looks great. It just, and the soundtrack maybe even better than the previous film. Maybe I do prefer this. I don't know.
I think I prefer the soundtrack as well. But I would absolutely love to own both.
Oh yeah,
I think they both have phenomenal. It's just campy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's age factors into it, but I would again love to see this film on an old VHS and a little TV.
Yeah,
you know, it's with some popcorn and just have a fun time with a silly little horror film. Campy, fun.
Absolutely. One that's less fun. But next is Axe from 1974.
Pretty Lisa took an axe, gave her captor 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave his partner 41. Axe will slash out and shock you beyond anything before. Axe.
AKA Lisa. I really want to say it, and I don't know why.
Lisa.
Oh, stop! Like the sister. But there was also, wasn't there a band called Lisa, and they did Head to Toe, I think.
Maybe.
Or AKA California Axe Massacre, AKA California Axe Murders, AKA The Axe Murders.
Yeah.
And not my favourite, AKA The Virgin Slaughter.
Which
makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense because actually it's men that get slaughtered in this film. So if they're doing that to focus on, capitalize on the woman in it, well, no. That just doesn't work. Do you think they're going for the Virgin Spring with that?
Probably, yes. Yeah, I would actually, I would. It's probably post Last House on the Left as well. Yeah. Although I don't know how successful that film was because it was banned outright here.
Yeah, so written and directed by Frederick R. Friedel, starring Leslie Lee, Jack Cannon, Ray Green, and Frederick R. Friedel. These films definitely like including their filmmakers in the films.
Low budget.
Yeah. Premise: 3 criminals on a murder spree arrives at a farmhouse where a girl is living with her paralysed grandfather.
What was your favourite title?
My favourite title is California Axe Massacre because very silly.
Mine's Lisa. Yes, so the premise: poor Lisa is visited by 3 hardened, murderous criminals on the run. Luckily for her and us, Lisa can get a little murderous herself.
Yes. Yeah, not lucky for Bob Ross.
Not lucky for Bob Ross, no. There is
the film's director, Bob Ross.
The film's director looks very much like Bob Ross. So little history on this film. This is an American, so this is the first American film because the previous 2 were Italian.
Yes.
And a lot of the video nasties were either American or Italian.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear this a lot, but this one very much plays post Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it came out in 1974 as Lisa.
Yeah.
And then it was re-released in 1978 after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre took off as California Axe Massacre, California Axe Murders, Axe, all that business. So very much trying to play off the success of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's probably more akin to Last House on the Left, and maybe because of the subject matter, the last part of Last House on the Left.
Well, funny enough, the final film we got for the episode is also known as Last House Part 2. And it's strange that they'd give that title to that film and not this one.
Yeah. So
this definitely could have got away with that a little more, being called that.
Yeah, because I think it is more akin to a Last House on the Left. not rip. I wouldn't even call it a rip off, but influenced by.
It's actually closer to I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah, that's also true. But it's not a rape revenge film, the way that we know rape revenge.
No, it takes it on a different path.
Yeah. So the idea is that Lisa is already how do I say this? Somewhat unhinged before the criminals even get there. But they don't know that. And so they try to sexually assault her. Mm-hmm. And she kills them.
Yeah.
That's the premise. So it is part of House of Psychotic Women as well, which is great. And I was absolutely on Lisa's side. I'm rooting for her.
Yeah. Really interesting piece of filmmaking. It's just over an hour.
Yeah.
And speaking of Ty West earlier in this episode, this was definitely an influence for Pearl. There's so many parallels here with that. It's technically rape revenge, but it's always a bonus when you sit through something within that subgenre where it doesn't feel overly exploitative.
No.
There's attempted rape in this film, and thankfully that's all we get.
Yeah, it's not gratuitous.
No.
We don't have her overly sexualized.
No.
We have her as... And she's we don't see her inner workings too much, but we get a sense of who she is, and it's a lot subtler than the titles and the marketing would have you think.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those that's only on here because of the title. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason this was here.
Yeah.
It's very well made. I really like the cinematography. For a low-budget film, it really conveys that gritty grindhouse tone really well. The practical effects are cheap and cheesy, but that works within that cinematography. And again, amazing soundtrack as well. That really goes along with it to create a film that has that perfect 70s vibe.
What do you think about the gay representation?
The gay representation?
The opening. So the opening scene. So these three criminals, they're on the run after killing the gay guy. He came home with his date. Yeah, and the date.
I missed that.
Yeah, no, yeah. So that's his date.
I may have raised
So he's
higher.
because they're going through his wardrobe and they see dresses. So I think he's a drag queen, but he comes home with his date, obviously wanting to get it on. I think he owed them money, which is why they killed him, and then his date throws himself out the window.
Wow.
Yeah.
Top class representation.
I don't know. I'm not sure it's top class representation. I do feel like the dresses in the wardrobe were maybe a joke. I don't know, but it wasn't. It wasn't like they were cruel or even homophobic. Really,
No.
It just happened to be gay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming owed them money for drugs. And so they killed him, and then they're on the run, and they find Lisa. And I love, and it's something you only get in American cinema, is that distinct American rural setting.
Yeah.
It's stuff like Badlands, and actually like Three Women, like one of my absolute favourite films of all time. And that the cinematography that comes with that setting, I love it. I really, really like that. And this has it in spade loads.
It does.
It creates a really great atmosphere. It's really... It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. It's subtle. It is quite subtle.
It's very subtle. What I quite like about it is Leslie Lee doesn't exactly deliver a great performance.
No, she doesn't.
It's quite quiet and flat, but considering what the film's going for, that actually works.
Yeah, to a certain degree. I have to say her performance, particularly when she speaks, is maybe a little jarring.
Yeah.
Kind of takes me out a little bit because Was it her first film? And she was a model beforehand, and it shows. But, you know, bless her. It's a low-budget film. I can forgive these things.
It is. On IMDb, it was successfully prosecuted. On IMDb...
Why?
I know. We're about to ask that. IMDb, 4.8 out of 10.
Very harsh.
Letterboxd, 2.9 out of 5. So I think that's a clear look at the difference between IMDb and Letterboxd. Because I feel like this is a sort of film that could be reevaluated as a feminist film now.
I think to a certain degree. I think it's too short to really fully embrace that. Yeah. I think it could have done... It's not often I say this about films, but it definitely could have done with being longer.
Yeah.
And we could have had more of the Lisa character and her sort of inner workings. Because a lot of the beginning of the film is with the criminals, you know, the killing the gay guy, the quite suspenseful scene in the supermarket as well. That's really creepy.
With the tomato ketchup.
Yeah, but how they are with the girl behind the counter. It's a real creepy setup, and then obviously they get to the house and the rest of the film takes place. Yeah. But it's 68 minutes. I feel like it could have added more, but it's budget constraints. I get it.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it 7 out of 10. 3.5 on Letterboxd with a love heart.
Did it deserve to be on the list? Why do we think it's on the list? I don't think it deserved to be on there at all. I mean, their excuse would have been the sexual violence, even though it was attempted. The title would have been up there.
Yeah.
And if they had any sense, they would have blamed the toenail clipping as well, because that was nasty. But no, it doesn't deserve to be on there at all.
No.
It's absolute nonsense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those where they absolutely did not sit through the entire film. They sat through the parts they wanted to sit through. And I always remember, like, the court case, they showed a compilation of the nastiest scenes from these films. That's great. What about the rest of the film?
Yeah.
Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't make it... I think it's definitely just because of the title that they wanted it in there. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre, spoiler alert, isn't in the video nasties list. But I think they just wanted to set a precedence for this kind of titled films. You know what I mean? Sort of like, it's a showy name to have on there.
I remember this one was always in Poundland around Halloween time.
Really?
I did have the DVD back in the day, but never watched it until recently. But yeah, it's actually quite easy to get hold of anywhere, and I recommend checking this out. Do you know what? Today, all 4 of these films, I recommend checking them out.
Absolutely. And it's weird because you ain't going to get that much going forward.
No.
For like all the films.
No, we've saved the best for last for today with A Bay of Blood from 1971.
Twitch of the Death Nerve. The first motion picture to require face-to-face warning. Every ticket holder must pass through the theater's final warning station. We must warn you face-to-face. Warning. Diabolical, fiendish, savage. Twitch of the Death Nerve. You may not walk away from this one.
Okay. You strapped in.
This
hold on to your knickers, girls.
Reportedly has more alternative titles than any other film ever made.
Yes. So here we go. AKA Bay of Blood. So you got A Bay of Blood and Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
AKA Ecologia del Delito, Italian for Ecology of Crime. AKA O Sexo na sua forma mais violenta, which is the Brazilian title, so Portuguese for sex at its most violent. AKA Bloodbath, AKA Bloodbath Bay of Dead, AKA Carnage Erotica, AKA Last House Part 2, AKA Massacre at Blood Lake, AKA Snuff is My Game. Oh, I like that one. AKA The Antecedent, AKA Twitch of the Death Nerve, And finally, and there's more in different languages, but AKA Carnage.
Yeah,
Do you have any more?
I'm between for my favourite. I'm somewhere between Carnage, Erotica, and Twitch of the Death Nerve.
Yeah, I love the title Twitch of the Death Nerve. I love that title, so I have gone with that. Mario Bava has some great titles for his films.
This is written and directed by genre legend Mario Bava, a true master of Italian cinema, of horror cinema, gothic horror, and let's be honest, a genre changer, because this film absolutely launched the slasher craze.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, parts 1 and 2 pay homage to this by including murders that are exactly shot for shot.
Yeah.
That are included in this film.
Very similar location, the not knowing who the killer is, and then obviously influenced by giallo films as well. But this was directly referenced in Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2, which started, in my opinion, obviously Halloween, 78, but I think that really started the slasher craze of the 80s.
It definitely
did.
The
teen slasher craze, all of those elements that were parodied in Scream, I think started with Friday the 13th, which started with A Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
Now and this is on topic, but not directly, a lot of the video nasties, like I said, are American and Italian.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason why so many Italian films are on the list is because they were just more readily available?
Potentially.
Because to be influenced by A Bay of Blood, Sean S. Cunningham would have had to have watched A Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it must have been readily available in America and subsequently the UK. Which is why we don't get, and some of the films are way more violent, a lot of the extreme Asian films of the period. Like Hong Kong Category 3 films are nowhere near the video nasties.
No.
Is that just because they weren't available?
There's a good chance that could be the case. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's also interesting that Italian horror isn't as prominent these days as it was back then.
No.
It's a shame. I'd also seen this carried out throughout the years.
Yeah. Italy has a very long history of horror.
Yeah.
Cinema and, really, 5-star masterpieces from that as well.
I mean, this is Mario Bava's personal favourite of the films that he made.
Okay.
Dario Argento loved it so much to the point he had a projectionist friend steal him a print of the film during its first run in Italy. The cinema ended up showing Hatchet for the Honeymoon to replace the stolen print for the remainder of the film's run there. About a week and a half, according to Argento, who still has it to this very day. So the film is written by Mario Bava as well, co-written by Giuseppe Zaccarello and Filippo Ottoni. The English version was written by Gene Luoto, which is unusual to have the English version written separately to the Italian version. Yeah. Based on a story by Dardano Sacchetti and Franco Barberi, starring Claudine Auger, Luigi Pistilli, Claudio Valente, Laura Betti. And it's about the murder of a wealthy countess that triggers a chain reaction of brutal killings in the surrounding Bay Area as several unscrupulous characters try to seize her large estate.
Yes, so basically annoying rich people start offing each other in an effort to get the biggest cut of Granny's fortune. Pretty Charles, much. Camilla, Harry and Will... Oh, sorry. Wrong, annoying rich people. And there's a few teens killed within there as well.
There is.
To what the body count. But this is definitely where the influence also of... detective fiction comes into it, or murder mysteries, should I say murder mysteries. So giallo, I'm sure a lot of people know, is Italian for yellow, which comes from the yellow covers of murder mystery novels in Italy. So this is very, despite also being very slasher movie, very Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
It's who's the killer, double turns, red herrings, all of that business is all in here as well. I think it's a fantastic film. Like we said, it's our favourite of the 4 films we're discussing on today's episode. It ticks so many boxes. In terms of horror, there's blood, there's campiness, there's silliness. There's a cracking soundtrack as well. It's a real sort of standout, and it's not perfect. It's can be a little dull at parts, but overall it's a great time.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line within giallo and slasher films where the two can overlap, and I think this toes that line perfectly, right down the middle. Because a lot of giallo films can be a little dull at times, and this definitely shows that within the messy second half of it. But aside from that though, this is so stylish, way more stylish than something like this has any right to be, especially something that's going to go on to influence Friday the 13th. And it just, it's groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's groundbreaking, and it's easy to see why it's so influential. It's also very camp, which of course we fully appreciate.
Of course.
But there's really great twists and turns, as well as some really bloody death scenes. I think Laura Betty is the best in the cast. And as far as the twists go, the final payoff for all the twists is what upped my rating of the film.
Really?
It's hilarious.
I thought it was stupid.
So stupid. It is so stupid. And we cannot talk about this film without talking about it. So, spoiler alert. How long am I going to give myself? I'm going to give myself a minute. Spoiler alert's in effect for a whole minute now. At the end of this film, when the rich people think they've got away with it, knowing there are no other living heirs, Albert and Renata prepare to return home to await the announcement of their inheritance when they are shot dead from the caravan by their son, who has mistaken their fucking shotgun for a toy. The son and daughter, then they think their parents are playing dead, and they rush outside to play along the bay. Stupid. So fucking stupid. But I could not stop laughing. It's hilarious. All of that effort that all these rich people went through in this film, and I'm running out of time, but all that effort they went through just to be shot by the kids thinking they're using a toy. So funny. So fucking funny. Really my biggest highlight of the film.
It's very stupid, but it also kind of renders a lot of what came before it completely pointless.
And that's the minute. That's the spoiler minute. Watch this film. Just if you haven't seen it, just watch it. Even if it's just to see what we've just been talking about. It's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah. Brunhilde is the free-spirited German queen of my dreams. She's so much fun. It's at the end of the day, it's blood, it's boobs.
Yeah.
It's a little convoluted at times. But yeah, I if you like slasher films, you have to see this.
Yeah. It was successfully prosecuted. IMDb rating is 6.5 out of 10, and the Letterboxd rating is 3.4 out of 5. My rating is 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it 8 out of 10. 4 on Letterboxd with a love heart. Now, I know I keep mentioning the love heart, but I think love heart is very important.
It is important
with these things.
Yes,
because there are films on the Video Nasties list that I maybe give a low rating to, but if it gets a love heart, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, I think it's an indicator of whether we'd rewatch it.
Yeah, but this is, one of the highlights of the Video Nasties list, definitely.
It is. Did it deserve to be on the list, and why do we think it's on there? Not really. I mean, by modern standards, not really. It's very gory. But
there's also a lot of sex as well. I mean, this scene... now, Friday, this is also something that stands out is that Friday the 13th Part 2 took a kill directly from this film.
But so did the first film.
Now, it's a little more obvious in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's two people having sex and then being killed whilst they're having sex.
Yeah.
Now, this shows a little more of the sex
Uh-huh.
than Friday the 13th Part 2. But Friday the 13th Part 2 was a big studio film.
Yeah.
So that may have had... I
It's
can't
on Section
remember.
3.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The
But this
first
was
two.
prosecuted.
Yeah.
Because it's not a big studio film.
Uh-huh.
It's a smaller film. So I think it goes to show the difference there. Because one thing about the video nasties and about the films that were prosecuted and made the list is they didn't have the money behind them to prevent that happening.
Yeah.
You look at something like Scarface. Scarface is an incredibly violent film. Yeah, and may have had cuts, but it wasn't prosecuted.
No.
People weren't told they weren't allowed to own it. Like, legally weren't allowed to own it. Because it was a big studio film. It was seen as something different. Whereas with this, Mario Bava, we know now, and which is why his films have a cult following, and which is why people have a new appreciation for his films. It's actually more a better director than being on the video nasties would give him credit for.
Yeah.
The cinematography is beautiful at times. He's a wonderful filmmaker. Yeah, the film itself can be a bit dumb and a little all over the place, but there's still the makings. There's still the sort of signposts for a really great filmmaker here.
Yeah. Again, another kill taken directly by Friday the 13th is the bill hook to the face, which is replaced by the axe to the face in the first Friday the 13th. That's one of my highlights here. That and the bill hook to the neck as well.
So it's more akin to also... I think you get it in most of the Friday the 13th films where some sort of weapon goes into someone's face.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, that's with Dawn of the Dead I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It's tried and tested because
It
it's
is
a great kill.
It is. But I do think the best kill is probably the bill hook to the neck. When a melodramatic queen just dies on the floor with her ass out after.
I do like the decapitation though.
That is a good
scene.
scene.
Like that
Yeah,
one.
we didn't really have a highlight for a kill in Axe, but
we
because they were
didn't.
very tame.
Yeah, they were.
Really?
That wasn't really the point, I suppose.
Yeah, anyone that she hacks up.
Absolutely.
That's a highlight.
Absolutely.
Rounding off this episode, we're going to talk about what we think We're going to talk about a modern film that we think would have made it onto the list. In a section we like to call that Could Have Been a Nasty. For me...
That could have been a nasty.
For me, if those pesky Tories were still banning films, I feel like Aquaslash would have made it onto there because it's fucking boring. Nothing happens.
Yes.
And then we get 5 minutes of gore.
Yeah.
And the film is called Aquaslash.
And you could just tell that if
They would
it
have
was
watched those
made
5
in the
minutes.
early 80s,
Yeah.
that the trailer would have just focused
On
on
that
that
final-
last
yeah.
part. And yeah, definitely would have made the list. Aquaslash. I went with maybe an obvious choice, but Hatchet.
Oh, yeah.
Hatchet, it almost feels like an homage to the video nasty films.
Yeah.
It's a slasher film, incredibly violent.
Two of
There's
the characters are porn
nudity.
stars.
Two of the, characters, it's sex, violence. I don't. If you've seen Hatchet, you know exactly why.
Yeah. All
I've
four of
added
those
it.
films could have...
Yeah,
ended up on there.
definitely.
Yeah. And that is part 1 of our A to Z of Video Nasties, the DPP list. Next week, we will be talking about The Beyond, Blood Feast, Bloody Moon, and Chris's personal favourites, The Boogeyman and Boogeyman 2, Revenge of the Boogeyman.
If you can't tell, Gary was being very sarcastic then. I am not looking forward to discussing those fuckers again. But there's at least one fantastic film on there.
Multiple.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll find out next episode.
You can find us on all social media by searching the name of the podcast, and if you could go give us a rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this, we'd be so grateful. And go check out Gasp Horror Film Festival as well, which we also run, with films that are not banned. Great modern horror films.
Yes.
Made by people who are in marginalised communities, and it's taking place on the 27th to 29th of June.
Films that even Mary Whitehouse herself would say top-class entertainment.
That's not good marketing.
Watch.
Let's not. And we'll be back at the same time in the same place with more Nasties in 2 weeks' time.
Bye.